It seems a pity that we cannot better combine the German ruthlessness with the American sentimentality. That is, Germans were supposed to be ruthless, they were supposed to be cruel because they considered the operation successful even if the patient died, whereas the American were considered to be sentimental because they took care that the patient survived. Only then they considered their operations successful. Then you could turn your prisoner over to execution, and yet I could be sure you would not murder me while I was unconscious. So, what the general was suggesting, that he wished that they could combine the ruthlessness of the Germans and sentimentality of the Americans. So, Sadao can be ruthless by turning his prisoner over to be executed, and he could be sure that he would not die if he is being operated by Dr. Sadao, that is when he is unconscious, because Sadao will also have the sentimentality of the Americans. So he wanted Sadao to be ruthless towards the prisoner and be sentimental towards him. The general laughed. He had an unusual sense of humor. That is why he was thinking all this, putting the ruthlessness and sentimentality together in his imagination. As a Japanese, could you not combine these two foreign elements? He asked. So he said, while staying a Japanese only, being a Japanese, he is asking him, couldn't you combine these two foreign elements? Two foreign elements were ruthlessness of the Germans and sentimentality of the Americans. Sadao smiled. I am not quite sure, he said, but for your sake, I would be willing to try, Excellency. So he says that I am not quite sure if I can do this, but for your sake, to please you, I can definitely try. The general shook his head. I had rather not be the test case, he said. So he did not want to be the first person on whom this combination would be checked. He felt suddenly weak and overwhelmed with the cares of his life. He felt overwhelmed with the cares of his life, with all these responsibilities. He suddenly felt very tired and weak. As an official in times such as these, when repeated victory brought great responsibilities. Now, this was wartime, and during this time, even if the country won, those victories also brought many responsibilities to sustain them, to keep them up. So, he was overburdened by that, and because of that, he felt very weak. All over the South Pacific, it is very unfortunate that this man should have washed up on your doorstep, he said irritably. Now, he was quite irritated that they had another burden on their hands. That is, the American was washed up on Sadao's doorstep. It was unfortunate